This is the way. All right, thanks for clicking on today's video. We're going to be discussing The Mandalorian and Grogu, the new Star Wars film directed by Jon Favreau, also written by him by a few others as well. And this is basically just a continuation of The Mandalorian TV show in a way. It's self-contained. So if you're wondering right off the bat if you need to see the TV show, I would say no. Does it help? Yes. I myself, to be honest, I never saw the TV show until I was gearing up to see this movie. And I was trying to get all 3 seasons in before. I didn't manage to do that. And I didn't feel lost at all. I actually only managed to get season 1 in. So that being said, though, there are some points of season 2 and season 3 that I know what happened just because when it was out, it's hard to avoid spoilers sometimes when you're scrolling through Facebook and it's like, oh, that happened, I guess. But that being said, though, overall, only seen season 1, and I didn't feel lost at all. So if you're looking for a good, fun, popcorn, space, adventure, action movie, I think you'll actually definitely enjoy this one. I had a lot of fun with it, but let's dive in. All right, so like I mentioned, it's directed by Jon Favreau, also written by Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, as well as Noah Clore. So those 3 guys teamed up, wrote this movie, and essentially it's basically just telling another standard solo adventure with the Mandalorian and Grogu. At this point in the timeline, he's working for the good guys now, and basically he's just hunting down Imperial bad guys. And along the way, during the movie, he just gets a job after a job after a job. So it almost kind of does feel like a lot of episodes strung together in a way, but at the same time, I still got a good movie vibe from it. Now, I do want to start off with one of my favorite positives of this movie is just the overall action and the way everything was executed in that regard. That being said, the first opening 15-20 minutes of this movie was just one of the best action scenes in any Star Wars movie, I would say. And I really liked the introduction of this character, the Mandalorian, during that fight scene because it almost reminded me of Batman in a way, or something you would see in like a superhero film. And during it, I was like, too bad Iron Man's dead in the MCU because Jon Favreau needs to come back and make another Iron Man movie because the way the Mandalorian was using punches, his grapple, his flamethrower, his blaster, just screamed like, man, a peak Iron Man movie because Mandalorian is, Iron Man and Batman-esque. He's a man in some armor with a lot of gadgets. So just seeing how that was executed, I was like, that would be awesome. And I love the Matt Reeves film. I think they already have a director locked on for the Batman DCU, the guy who did Flash. But man, Jon Favreau, I think, would actually make a really good Batman movie. But beside all that, like I was saying, the introduction of this character, I loved throughout the opening scene of the action because you get glimpses of him. You're not fully seeing the Mandalorian. You're seeing bad guys get taken out. You're seeing the Mandalorian hide in the shadows. There's one scene, too, where they have one of those rat droids driving through, and you kind of see through that POV of the Mandalorian kicking ass. And you really don't get his full reveal until he walks through after taking down a lot of bad guys. That being said, too, Grogu had a fun little cute intro as well. So I think the beginning of this movie really started off with a bang, gets you hooked. Just got a text message. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, gets you hooked and gets you ready for the adventure that you're about to ensue. So another thing I really enjoyed besides that is that overall, this is a self-contained story. It doesn't go the big grand space opera vibes that the Skywalker trilogy does, or those main episode, the prequels and the follow-ups. It doesn't have that. You get a more grounded street level look in this Star Wars world, which I loved. I really loved dwelling in that. There's really cool sets in here. There's really cool alien characters around too, immersing you in that world building. But even though it has its own self-contained adventure and it's more street level, you still get the flavor of Star Wars and what the original trilogy did so well. And I just rewatched The Empire Strikes Back on Star Wars Day, May 4th. But one thing I noticed was there's something always going conflict wise. There's always a conflict coming up for our characters. You know, Luke, Han Solo, Princess Leia, C3PO, and R2D2. They were always getting themselves into trouble. There was always something around the corner, whether it's Imperial bad guys, alien creatures like the big space worm when they were hiding on the moon in Empire Strikes Back, the whole Hoth opening with the Wampa. Just the yeah, there's something always going on. And that's what this movie had too. Mandalorian and Grogu were always encountering a conflict. There was always encountering something that they had to overcome. So it just really keeps you invested. Because overall, there isn't really one big grand plot narration. I mean, there is with the Huts and that whole thing, which I won't really go into because it's kind of fun to discover that. If you haven't seen this movie yet, I do want to try to keep this as spoiler free as possible. But there's always something to go on with our characters. So you're like really never bored. And I'm after I've seen this movie and looked at some discourse about it and some conversations, I was kind of surprised to see that people claim to be more bored during the last half of this movie, because I thought overall there was always something to do. There was always something going on, and you always felt invested. So on top of that, our characters, the Mandalorian and Grogu, you know, even if I hadn't seen season one, I still would have loved being with them. And I feel like just right off the bat, you know that it's this guy taking care of little baby Grogu. I think now he's more of his apprentice, but you don't really need that chemistry. The chemistry is still there between them, and you don't really need the TV shows to help that. Sure, it might help get it a little bit deeper for you, but if you're just jumping in cold, you're still going to feel the love the Mandalorian has for Grogu and vice versa. And there really isn't any big on character arcs for our Mandalorian Grogu. Grogu gets probably the biggest one of them all, and even that is small. But I feel like it sounds like that's another big problem people have with this movie, is that it just kind of feels like episodes strung together. And personally, I wasn't going into this wanting a big Star Wars epic and have this tie in and create bigger things. Like, I actually really did like taking a step back and having its own solo adventure, but still in the same world. We're still exploring different uh, places in this grand galaxy that's far, far away, you know? So I really like that. And I, going back to my set design, I forgot to touch on too, is that the whole fight arena too. I love the neon aesthetic of that street level that the Mandalorian was at. So yeah, if you're looking for something that's gonna like be a grand event like the Skywalker trilogy, then you would probably be a little disappointed, but I still think you'll have fun. Like, this is popcorn movie, summer movie at its best with the Star Wars name, and it still feels like Star Wars, at least to me. So I definitely think you'll have fun with this one, especially if you love these characters. I think the Mandalorian's a badass, so I really enjoyed this. So on top of all that too, the score in this is incredible. I'm probably gonna mispronounce this name, but the composer is Ludwig Göransson. He does an incredible score in this, and going back to the whole Fight Club arena and the underground world, the street level, I really loved the synthy music he had with it. And I actually, after the movie, went on and looked up the soundtrack for this movie and played it in the car on the way home. I just really dug it. I love synths, so the synth combination with the Wild West type vibe Mandalorian theme has all combined together made really good immersive experience. I saw this in the Dolby at AMC, so I was just levitating during the synth scenes. I was like, this is awesome. And for those that want to know, it's called Shikari on the soundtrack. So check out that Shikari song, and it's impossible to vibe to it. It's impossible not to vibe to it. It's a piece of work right there. I loved it. And if you're a Grogu fan, there's a lot of cute little moments with that character that made me chuckle and made the whole audience laugh as well. So Grogu fans will be eating up. And another thing too, like I said, want to try to avoid as much spoilers as I can. But one thing I also did enjoy about this movie, and again, this might have happened somewhere along the lines in season 2 or season 3. So for those who did see those, it may have felt repetitive, but I haven't actually seen anything talked about on this. So who knows? But at least for me, something happens in the movie where Grogu and Mandalorian get split up. And that being said, the Grogu character has to go on a little solo mission with himself. He has a little bit of help with those other little alien guys. I'm not sure what they're called, but at the end of the day, it's Grogu going on a solo adventure to go help the Mandalorian. And it was just nice seeing him be able to contribute a little bit more to their friendship or apprenticeship, and basically see Grogu problem solve and be able to stand on his own 2 feet. So it was nice seeing the Grogu be able to take what he's learned from the Mandalorian and what he's known with the Force. Yes, I know who trains him at the end of season 2. Wish I didn't. But essentially, yeah, Grogu's able to stand on his own 2 feet here and contribute more to the story as well as their bond. Also, Martin Scorsese shows up as a voice actor in this for the little monkey alien that's flipping burgers and owning a food truck during that fight scene arena area. So that was kind of interesting. Martin Scorsese in a Star Wars film. Also, Sigourney Weaver shows up in this as small cameos. We see her in the trailer, but she actually has a really cool scene at the end of this film. I'll put little spoiler tags on here if you don't want to be fully, if you don't really want to know exactly what happens. Uh, Turn down the volume until that spoiler tag goes away. But she, at the end of the film, is piloting an X-wing, so that was actually pretty cool. I liked that. It was. I'm actually surprised the audience didn't freak out at that, but Sigourney Weaver in an X-wing is now Star Wars canon. So yeah, overall, guys, this was an enjoyable movie for me. It had a lot of good action adventure in it, and if, like I said before, if you're just looking for a fun popcorn movie, then this is going to be one that is going to immerse you in that. It's going to be fun. If you have kids, go take them to this. It makes for a good date night too. See it solo if you want to. It's just, again, Star Wars, this and Mortal Kombat 2. I started the popcorn movie season, so that's awesome. So that being said, towards the end of the film, this is a 2 hour and like 10-minute film, and it does feel a little bit dragged out towards the end, but personally, it didn't bother me too much. I was still having fun. There was still action spread throughout, so it went quicker, but it definitely probably could have been 2 hours. It just kind of felt a little dragged out towards the end, especially at one part too, where Grogu, again, don't want to get too much in the spoilery territory, but when Grogu and Mandalorian do get back up together, there's something that happens that kind of puts the Mandalorian not in service for a little bit. And I feel like seeing Grogu, there was like a short little montage too, which felt like it could have been trimmed down a little bit and we could have gotten to the point faster of how to get the Mandalorian back. And yes, I do see that criticism of it does feel like episodes strung together, but at the end of the day, like I said, if you're just going for a fun night, a fun movie experience, you're still going to get that. You're not going to really have to think too hard on the plot. You're not going to really have to connect Easter eggs, and it doesn't rely on nostalgia bait. So that's also a positive. Like, you're not going to need the whole Star Wars lore in your brain when watching this. Sure, if you do, the more you have, the more some of those Easter eggs will pay off. But again, it's its own thing. So I don't know why some view that as a negative. I don't know why it's viewed smaller. I know like Rogue One, for example, was its own thing too, and it had that same feel, but it did tie into A New Hope in a way. So I don't know if people wanted this to tie into the original trilogy or tie. I guess it takes place after the original trilogy, but I don't know if it wanted to like have its arms in there or like the episode 7 through 9. I'm not sure, or if it wanted it to like start its own thing, but that's a criticism I've been seeing that I can see some reason for that, but at the same time, it's still fun. It still has a beginning, middle, and end. Sure, they're a little bit more shaky because it's basically the Mandalorian going on different jobs, so it has that TV show and even like video game feel to it. But at the same time, it does begin, have a decent middle, and a decent end. So take that how you want. Also, for me personally, I feel like a little bit more practical effects could have enhanced this film as well, because Grogu and those little alien guys he teams up with are practical. They're animatronics, which is awesome. I love that old school Star Wars feeling it had with those. But two, there's a lot of CGI creatures that I feel like could have been practical. So I feel like that mesh definitely felt a little weird at times, especially the character Zeb. I think he probably appeared in season 2, season 3 somewhere. He seemed like a recurring character. I think he even makes appearances in the Clone Wars animated series. But in the TV show, he may have been CGI. If he did show up, he was probably CGI. But I felt like just having Grogu be an animatronic working with the Mandalorian, the whole Mandalorian uh, team, for lack of better words, should maybe be practical, because it kind of just meshes together better. So Zeb being someone in prosthetics and makeup, I think would have had a bigger payoff in the scenes he's in and felt a little bit more grounded and real. And yeah, I know this is Star Wars, and me saying grounded and real is kind of contradictory, but this is kind of like a grounded, real, quote unquote, take on the Star Wars world. We're in the streets, we're in exploring different, it's not as epic, we're exploring different street level scenes here. And that's something the original trilogy had too, was just a lot of prosthetics, like the whole cantina bar scene in episode 4. That was awesome. All these different masks and creatures that were actually puppets and people in suits. I feel like Star Wars as a whole, these new iterations of them, could really benefit from that. But yeah, overall, this is a great standalone, self-contained story with the characters Mandalorian and Grogu. Again, just a very fun adventure space movie. There's always something happening. The plot's thin, the characters are thin, but it has a TV show to back it up. But somehow, if you haven't seen it, like I said, they just still feel made, but there isn't really more development on them. So take that how you want it. But at the end of the day, I had fun with this. I think if you're looking for just a fun popcorn movie, nothing too hard to watch, you just want to be entertained, you want to have a good time, and you just enjoy being in the Star Wars world, I think you'll enjoy this one. And I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. So if you've seen it, let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. I appreciate you guys watching this. And would you like to see the Mandalorian and Grogu return in upcoming show? I know this is kind of like the season 4 of it. Or would you want to see another movie with them? You want to see them show up in a different kind of Star Wars story? Let me know your thoughts down below. And again, thank you guys for watching. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. If you want to see more of me in the future, talk movies, be sure to hit that subscribe button. I really do appreciate it. I'll have my letterbox in the description box down below. I'll have 2 videos too. Down below here, I'll have a playlist of my other 2026 new release reviews, as well as my most recent video. And again, thank you for watching. And as always, keep watching those movies, because those movies won't watch themselves.